Hello, I'm Kate Davis, and this is Humor in the C-Suite, a show about how leaders use humor to create an extraordinary work culture. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Humor in the C-Suite. My guest this week is Stefano Iaboni, internationally recognized speaker and trainer passionate about harnessing the power of laughter to transform workplaces. With over 20 years' experience in comedy, he has the privilege of performing and facilitating in 15 countries, creating experiences that leave audiences energized, connected, and inspired. In his keynote, From Stress to Success, The Power of Laughter in Business, he shows how humor is more than just fun. It's a tool that boosts creativity, strengthens connection, and reduces stress in professional settings. As a founder of Smile Solution, he's partnered with tech companies, startups, and HR leaders to bring laughter into the workplace, helping teams bond, think more creatively, and tackle challenges with a fresh perspective. His approach is deeply personal, is shaped by his journey and his own experiences using laughter to navigate life's toughest moments. I loved our conversation today. He is so playful. We do speak about the same thing, but he really has a lens of it as part of a lot of team building, a lot of games. I'm so excited for you to hear this episode and to really be inspired to bring some of these techniques into your workplaces. So please welcome Stefano Iaboni. I am so excited to have you here because you are the Chief Laugh Officer of your own company, and I'm always so inspired when people speak and coach to something so similar and so dear to my heart. And I feel like it's such important work. So I thought we would just start off by telling everyone, getting you to tell everyone your story and how you got to be into all this.
Yeah, so I am originally from Italy. I'm from Rome, Italy. I apologize in advance. Okay, nobody's perfect. So I moved to the United States 11 years ago now. Funny enough, why? Because my wife is American. She's from the Bay Area. But we met in Barcelona, Spain. Isn't that interesting? That's where we used to live before we moved here. And around 2013, we decided maybe, well, about we go to the States for a little bit, a little bit. It's turned into 11 years. So I do what I do because I've been involved in comedy for more than 20 plus years of my life. Wow. And I was lucky enough to perform in more than 15 countries around the globe. And when I say comedy, my type of comedy, it's mainly non-spoken. It's mainly physical, visual. So I'm not a stand-up comedian because I think a lot of time, when you say, oh, I do comedy, people, oh, you're a stand-up, you tell jokes? No, not necessarily. I am the joke. So that means I create either a character or a situation that is funny, right? So, and because of that, in my opinion, my type of comedy, it's more international in a way because, I don't really use language. So, people, you can still get it, sort of like Mr. Bean, sort of, okay? Not exactly, but sort of. So through there, one thing that I learned and I discovered is that's a universal language, right? Laughter is universal language. Humor is different. Yes, they do go together, but not the same. So humor, maybe it's more personal, culture, something that is funny in Italy, maybe it's not funny in the US or the other way around. Laughter, we all know how to do it. And so I realized this is a very fast and direct way to have people connect. Despite the language, the economical status, whatever color of the skin, boom, you laugh, you connect, right? Instant connection. And when I went through some difficult times in my life around 2015, 2016, I was diagnosed with cancer. Laughter and humor played a major role in my healing journey. Now, I'm not going to say that was the cure. No, I mean, surely it helped a lot, because basically when I was through that, I started doing my own research because I was really I was doing chemo, but I was also producing a show at the same time, and I still wanted to continue. I was like, if I die, might as well die doing what I like. Yeah. So I did a show, and at the moment, I was very tired. I was feeling very down. Had no energy and no hair. Anyway, I went on stage, and poof, everything and something incredible happened. So it's like people were laughing, I was laughing, we were all having a great time. Then I walk off stage and I was feeling amazing for like days. I was
wow.
like, what happened? I was like, this is crazy. It's like I was feeling terrible and all of a sudden I'm feeling great. So that's when I started like that, kind of like that, curiosity, got me into like, oh, I want to know, I want to investigate what is happening here. What is going on? So I discovered all these things that happen that we laugh, that we all know about now. There's like the neuroscience behind it, all the things that happen in your brain and you laugh, right? So I was like, oh, wow, this is very incredible. So basically, lately, what I've been doing, I've been speaking and doing, workshops and training for company to help them. The main thing that I do, I help them deal with stress, because a lot of people out there are dealing with stress nowadays. So yeah, I help them through that, through laughter and humor. But it doesn't mean like I teach them how to tell jokes. It's more like,
yeah, absolutely. For me, it's just, first of all, I love your story. I love the fact that I do love Barcelona, by the way. One of my favorite cities in the world. And I'm glad you beat cancer or got through it anyway. It really lends to your spirit and who you are, and the fact that you were able to find humor in those moments. I actually know of a mime comedian in Canada who he's not with us anymore. He was older. But he was an incredible, like he just can, it's amazing how the physical realm of humor can really connect people. So I love that. And that you found humor in those moments is so incredible. I mean, they say one of the first things that all humans do, or the commonality, no matter what country or what language we all speak, is, as babies, we all cry and we all laugh. And it's such a common language. And the fact that you're bringing that to places is incredible. And that you found, how do you find when you're doing your keynotes? Are you, are they like, do you do a lot of physical stuff? I've seen your workshops where you're getting people to play games and really connect and stuff like that, which is amazing. But are there ways that you find the physical is different from the words when you're running these keynotes and workshops?
It's a very good question. I always try to incorporate that in my presentation. I don't want to just talk. I don't want to just show you facts or numbers. I like to explain my story a little bit. And then how these things help workplaces, how can that change the work culture? And then I'm like, let's practice that. Let's put it all together. Yeah. So why don't we do it? And then I like to usually, like maybe that 30% or 40% of my presentation is that. So we play games. I do things that like people can participate, interact, and then get to connect.
Yeah. And it is, as you said, such a great stress buster, and life is stressful for so many people. And, and not even just at the workplace, but we're all dealing with children and aging parents and this and that. And life is really busy. Do you find, because you're so physical about it, it really does, because I find a lot of leaders that I've spoken to, especially when it's international companies, they are dealing with many different types of humor within different cultures. Right. And really, do you find the physical aspect of humor is really knowing your audience as well? Because I find when it's jokes, I really have to know my audience or who they are.
Yes and no. I think being visual and being physical might help, breaking down that barrier. It might be easier because, yes, as you said, with humor, you got to be careful, right? Yeah. It's like, the type of humor you're using, when you're using it, because some people might have a sense of humor, or some people don't, but I think like maybe the being physical and being visual, it's easier because in a way it's easier to relate.
Right.
It's like if I present you, or if I'm, if you see a situation or a character that is like, that I don't know, it's just ridiculous. You might in a
Mm-hmm.
way connect because it's like you feel like, oh, I know that person. Oh, I've seen it before. Oh, I've been in
Right.
that situation.
Yeah.
It's easier than like the verbal stuff, right?
Because you've been an artist for so long and traveled a comedian for so many years, do you find when you go into these companies, can you tell whether they're using humor within that, and is there like a lot of attachment to innovation and being able to be their authentic selves when they're learning from you?
I love this question. um, I feel like there is maybe a little bit of misconcept,
Okay.
right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes people feel like, oh, because I'm working, I have no time for this, or because
Right.
this is business, we don't laugh here, or this is not
Yeah.
funny, right? That's a misconcept, which is actually part of my keynote. It's like
Yeah.
work is serious, but we don't have to be. Okay,
Yeah.
yes, we treat work seriously. Yes, we're all professional here, but you don't have to be serious all the
So,
time. Okay,
yes, absolutely.
that can really change everything, right?
Yeah.
The culture, the atmosphere, the energy. If you're able to bring a little bit of lightness in the heavy stuff, right?
Yeah.
If you can just have a little bit of play in the stress, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Are you finding it really helps collaboration? Because you said on your website, it says, or in one of your keynotes that I read, laughter connects two ideas that apparently don't coincide with each other.
Yes.
Can you explain that a bit more? I love that so much.
Okay. First of all, when you laugh, it's one of the few times that, like, in your brain, both sides are connected. Okay?
Yeah.
So the right side and the left side, they work together. Okay.
Yeah.
And then actually, this is one. It's a game that I do sometimes, like in the workshops. I do the most ridiculous idea, right, to solve a problem. So, say your company or people they're stuck with something, they're stuck with an issue, and sometimes what happens is interesting, especially in big companies. Maybe you have a department that is struggling with something, and there is another department, but they do know each other, but not necessarily. So they don't really know what they do. They don't really know each other, right? So even switching roles helps a lot, and having people come up. So one game that I play is like, hey, how about we come up with the silliest, the most ridiculous, the stupidest idea ever about this problem that you're dealing with. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised what people come up with. And sometimes, and so first of all, that's like creates psychological safety, right?
Yeah.
People feel like, oh, I can be silly. I can be weird. Okay. This is just a game. Okay. So I can come up with something that I might not say in a regular, meeting or normal, say, environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then they start like whatever, playing things around. And sometimes they get surprised about, oh, well, actually, that thing that you just said might actually work. And it came out of something like that was supposed to be a game, silly, just for fun, right? So that's what what I say, yes, sometimes that helps you create something that doesn't make any sense, right? So you think about something that's like, oh, no, that would never work. But then you'd be surprised.
Yeah, I actually used that in my keynote where I'm like, because there was a great study done where at an advertising firm where they had two groups and they said, we want you to come up with the best ideas for this campaign. And the other group, we want you to come up with the worst ideas. Right. And the worst ones were way more playful and better and connected more and all those. So I love that. It's so important. And, also getting people to, that grown up little switch in the top of our heads, let's switch it off for the next hour. And all of a sudden it sounds like a schoolyard. And it's so everyone's just being a kid and having so much fun. And, and that is really what I find connects people, and the power of not taking ourselves too seriously and bringing that levity into the workplace. Yeah. In your own life, how have you found humor has helped you, build relationships or collaborate?
I think so. It's like it's so many different settings and so many different situations. It's just so helpful, right? Well, first of all, what happened? You connect. Okay. Mm-hmm. And you just said that. So there's a moment that you play, you're starting to play, and then people look at each other, okay? They make eye contact, they smile, they relax, they drop the shoulders, like, oh, they can breathe, right? Instant. So if I try everywhere I go, whatever I do, it's like, can I make a joke about it? Can I do something silly? Can I, how can I make this person laugh? Whatever they're doing, okay? Not just like when I'm working on like companies or when I'm doing, no, but in general, out there.
Yeah.
That changes everything, in my opinion, Oh, people relax, they connect, they might like, you might get extra thing because of that, okay?
Yeah.
I don't know. One thing that I talk in my keynote, like when I was working, I had this comedy duo, and once we had this international gig, we were like flying from Rome to Canada. Our flight got canceled. Okay, we got stuck at the airport for 2 days. No, it didn't just cancel once. It got canceled 3 times. We got stuck there. Okay. They gave us food vouchers. Okay, food vouchers, $20 a day. That's nothing in the airport. What do you get with $20?
You get a bowl of water. Half a bowl.
Exactly. So I went up to the cafeteria and I said, hey, listen, this food voucher, what do I get with this? And this is verbal, okay? I said, what do I get with this? Do I just get an existential crisis and a sandwich, or just an existential crisis?
Yeah.
The person on the other side, smile. You know what? Oh, how about I give you an extra sandwich and a free banana?
Wow.
Okay.
There you go.
We're sleeping on the floor. 2 a.m. in the morning, security comes by and says, hey, you guys cannot sleep here, okay? Luckily, I dealt with somebody that had a sense of humor, because I said, no, we're not sleeping, man. We are, we are performer. We're just rehearsing stillness. That person laughed. Okay. Yeah. Well, I was lucky that person had a sense of humor. They laugh and they say, okay, listen, I'll tell you what, if you just go around the corner, there is a place that you guys can go and nobody will bother you.
I love it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So whenever you do, if you try,
it sometimes drops people's defenses.
Yes.
And it makes them, more.
And sometimes it's like, okay, these are like kind of verbal jokes, right? But there is one, we know this, right? So if I laugh, I activate, there's mirror neurons in my brain, right?
Yeah.
So this is one thing that we do. So we imitate each other's facial expression. So if I approach somebody, and this is generally speaking, I also read studies about that. If you approach somebody, a stranger, someone, and you smile, generally speaking, they're going to smile back.
Smile back, yeah.
Interesting, right? So they say that I read about that, like one of the few culture that doesn't, it's like I think it's like Scandinavians, right? I can't remember. They say they might think like, oh, there's something wrong with you, right? Why are you smiling? Interesting.
Right.
Maybe that's cultural, right? But generally speaking, if you do that, that changes everything.
How many languages do you speak?
I speak 3. I speak English, Spanish, and Italian.
Wow. And do you do your keynote in all 3 languages?
So far, I only done it in Spanish and English.
Okay. I love that. Oh, amazing. Yeah, it really does just, other than it just lowers people's defenses and their own, right? It makes them more playful and look at things differently but I love that. Yeah. A smile really does beget a smile. And, and it can just start with something as simple as that. Have you ever had the humor misfire and then you're having to sort of go back on it? Or
Yes, I mean, of course, I guess especially with the verbal, maybe, it could be like, and it always depends, some folks are more open to it. Some people have a sense of humor. I personally struggle, and it's my own thing, when people don't have a sense of humor. I struggle with it, right? It's like difficult, right? But it's like, why can't you laugh about that, right? So yes, I did have moments as like, oh, okay, how do I, get out of this situation?
It's so funny because I was doing a coaching thing, and I was talking to a friend before, and it was a very intimate coaching session. There was only going to be about 10 people there. And I said, well, what if none of them, because I can't really do stand up for 10 people. It's more conversational, more interactive. And I was just like, well, what happens if they don't want to participate or laugh? And it's so intimate. And she's such a great coach. And she said, that's perfect. It's like going to a mechanic and your car is a rattle and you drive your car with the mechanic and it doesn't make the rattle. They can't fix it. So if someone's going to be serious within our workshops or our keynotes, right? It's sort of the perfect learning moment to say, okay, this is this is what we need to fix, or need
Yeah.
to, so it was such a great, it just lowered my anxiety about it and my stress about it, because I was like, okay, those are teachable moments. Those are the moments
Yes.
we actually want, going into, companies that do take themselves too seriously and have lost that, their morale and their fun and, really collaboration and all those things that humor can really lend to. So I
feel sometimes it's like, the status, the higher the status, maybe you feel like you got to be, be more serious, because I'm like, it depends, right? It depends, not all the time. But
I find it the opposite. I find like the young kids, like young adults coming in, take it very seriously. And the older people are like, oh no, I've already done that. I know that doesn't work. Hi, it's Kate. I can't believe you made it halfway through the show. Look, if you or anyone you know would like to be a guest on Humor in the C-Suite, I would love to have you. So email me, kate@katedavis.ca.
I like the analogy about the mechanic, right? I had this experience a lot sometimes with like being on stage or doing comedy, right? Because there is always going to be somebody in the crowd that's going to look at you like this.
Yes, always.
Right? So that always, right? No matter what you do, no matter if you like, and it's not about them,
And those are just your kids. No, I'm kidding.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yeah. No. Okay. I got interested. I'll tell you more about it. But
please.
But the thing is, like, so what do you do? In my experience, like, I try to find people that are like my friends.
Yeah.
Okay. Not necessarily, like people that are like, oh, they're smiling, they get it. Eventually, this thing is going to spread. This thing is contagious. Okay. They might somehow, by the end of it, that person is like that might be, included in that. They might be like, oh, everybody else is having a good time. Why am I struggling? What is it here? Or sometimes, the people like oh no, I'm not gonna laugh. I'm just I'm just gonna come in. I'm gonna resist to the very interesting. Yeah.
I actually had a comedian give me great advice many years ago where he was like, he was sort of having a rough show, but he just focused on the people who were laughing. And then exactly what you said happened. All of a sudden it was contagious because he wasn't trying to please the people who weren't connecting, you know, and you just always, focusing on the positive is so important. Do you have a favorite game you play in your workshops that you find really helps bring, maybe people can play with their families or people listening to it?
So the silly ideas contest, I love that. I usually like when I open one of the things plus this very easy thing that I do at the beginning, depends like on if I feel like, oh yes, those people are into this, I can play.
Yeah.
I say, hey, listen, why don't you introduce yourself to the person next to you and go like, just say, hi, my name is Stefano, and say one thing that you like, okay? That could be a food that you enjoy eating, an activity, anything, okay?
Yeah.
Say, hi, I'm Stefano, and I like hiking, okay? And then the other person says, hi, my name is such and such, and I like such and such. And then it depends. If I feel like, oh, they're very open and they probably can do this, I say, okay, why don't you do the same thing, but this time with the tongue sticking out of your mouth? Try.
Yeah.
So you say, okay, let's
do that.
Exactly. Boom. You see? So simple. You look ridiculous. You laugh. You connect. And it's not about humor. It's not about, oh, I need to tell a joke.
Yeah.
It depends. Some folks might be a little bit more resistant about it. Or another thing that I do at the very beginning, I say, okay, introduce yourself with your name and then say, my name is Stefano, but people also call me, and for me, I really have to read it. Like, say your name backwards. Okay. Can you say your name backwards? So for you, it would be Itak, right?
Itak. Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Sometimes, like, when you say your name backwards, sometimes it's like, it sounds so ridiculous that people just laugh. And it's just like, what is it? It's nothing.
Well, it's nothing, but it's something really so simple can bring people together. You
Yes.
know, yeah, it's so true. One of the games that I like to play, which I saw at another conference, was because I actually don't use any slides or anything within my presentations, because I just find comedy so about connecting. I'm not using stats or anything like that. There's a few in there, but what I really like to do is get everyone to pull out their phones, open their
Yes.
photos, scroll 4 times, point to a random photo and tell the person beside them about it. And I find all of a sudden,
I love that.
It's just, you can use it.
I'm going to steal it.
Yeah, steal it, please.
Yes.
It's all about collaboration.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and it just because everyone's got their phones out anyway, and then I asked them to put them away. Hopefully you're not going to scroll down on a dirty photo, but other than that, pretty good. But yeah, it's just a fun way to sort of crack them all open and get everyone talking, and especially if they're at a conference where they might not know each other and they've never met. Sometimes I'm at a company and they all know each other. They work with each other for years, but it's pretty amazing. And how it can really leverage a company to bring in more money, make more sales, like all those things that everyone, really wants to accomplish within an organization. So, it's always about the bottom line, but this can really leverage a company to create that. If I have 2 guys selling me a car, I'm always going to go with the one who connects with me with humor.
Sure.
Right.
Now, thank you. So now I have a question for you.
Okay.
So do you feel that sometimes you deal with people in charge, maybe executive or manager or CEO, they have their resistance, when you come in and say, I talk about the power of humor. I talk about the power of laughter. Or I do presentation keynote about this. Do you feel like that some people might be like, oh, what do you mean?
I feel like it's because mental health is such is so present and relevant nowadays that companies are definitely more open to it. And I find that people within organizations or like people with high risk jobs, like, EMS or military or doctors or, always have a great sense of humor because that is their coping mechanism.
Oh, fantastic. Yes. Thank you for saying
so,
that. Yes.
Yeah.
The higher the stress, the
usually,
better sense of humor, right?
Yes, absolutely. So I do find that. I also find that people can be swayed and it's okay to be nervous about using humor. I get it. You have to be, but there are ways to bring humor into your lives as you do, without telling a joke. Where we can de-risk it, where we can just, it's about building up a team in the good times so they work better in the hard times. And
and I think it's really about, it's like being in the moment, right? Because when you laugh, right, you're in the moment. You have to be in the moment. You're not thinking of something else. You laugh, you're just being there, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like afterwards, you always feel better, generally speaking, right?
Always.
And then it's kind of the same with crying or sadness. If you allow yourself to experience that emotion, fully, like, oh, I cry, but after I feel better, right?
Yeah, that really ugly cry.
Yes, right. And then you feel so good about it, afterwards, right?
Yeah.
But it's like having that sort of like courage, right? To allow yourself to do it, and especially if you're in front of other people or with other people. It's not easy for everybody, to be funny, be silly, crack a joke, or be vulnerable, right? Because we want to look a certain way. I think, nowadays there is a lot of pressure, like, oh, you got to be a certain way, you got to look a certain way, you got to behave a certain way, right? So I think that's very brave and courageous when people are able to let go.
And just be themselves.
Can you just be? Yes. And then this is how, if you're able to do that, I will appreciate you even more. The connection we're going to have is going to be deeper. Right?
Well, I always find it's so funny when people, it's like running into a childhood friend. You're always going to be that kid to each other. Even though you're grown up, you always have a different, sort of connection with those people. So, and that's, we all know that kids laugh way more than adults laugh, and and all the stats on that. How has humor personally benefited you in your actually in your life?
Good, because I feel like sometimes I like I'm very hard on myself,
Yeah, me too.
or like
We're so
oh,
sensitive, eh?
right, very sensitive,
We just
and also like
overreact.
yeah, and then I want to be the best. I want to like I want my thing to be good, but not
Mm-hmm.
because of ego.
Yeah.
Okay, easy to say, right? But it's because generally I care.
Yeah.
Okay, because generally I want to offer a good product, whatever that is, whatever is a keynote, wherever is a show, wherever that is. I try to like So sometimes it's interesting to can I look at myself from a different perspective? I wish I could like, can I look at Stefano
Yeah.
from a different eye? It's like, yes, look, why are you doing that? Right. So yes, sometimes I really need to stop and pause. It's like, oh, wait, why am I behaving like that? Can I just have
Yeah.
just look at the ridiculous side of this, right? Because everything,
Yes.
even the most tragic sometimes is like, oh man, this is so tragic that it's almost ridiculous
Yeah.
because it's so over the top. It's too much, right?
Yeah.
And so what can I do? I
Absolutely.
think like with cancer for me was like when I got diagnosed, of course it was very scary and everything. But then now
Yeah.
looking back, I'm just like, that was one of those situations that you can either cry or laugh because there is nothing else
Yes.
you can do.
Yeah,
You have no control,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And and life we all have lessons within that. So
Hmm.
it's, how we adapt and cope with the stress that it's causing that counts.
Yes.
And humor can just be such a huge part of that. You're on the West Coast.
Yeah, I'm in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah. When you go into organizations, do you find that are you doing big groups, small groups? Do you find like the humor changes within those atmospheres or what you're doing?
So the last thing I did, it was for a company. It was a group of like, I think it was like 45 to 50 people.
Oh, wow.
Which is like, it's interesting because sometimes it depends on the game that you play. You might have to split them in groups.
Yeah.
But I think because of that, because laughter is contagious,
Yes.
I think it's beneficial, when you
Yeah.
have maybe larger, Well, if you have hundreds, it's another beast, right?
Yeah.
But somehow it helps because of that. Because maybe, like, oh, let's play a game and then I'll pay you up. And then two people go up and share something and everybody else is laughing. That creates that moment of like, oh, okay,
Oh,
it's okay.
okay.
We feel safe. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, then I want to do that too. Even the
Yeah.
person that at first was like maybe kind of resistant or kind of shy, maybe that helps them, relax and
Yeah.
feel like, well, actually, yes, I have a story that I want to share. And yes, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Even if I, I don't know. Sometimes it can be like scary to like, oh, I don't want to be on the spot. But if you have other people do it before you, then you see like, oh, you see how easy that is, and you don't have to be an actor, you don't have to be a performer. Somehow it helps, I think.
Yeah. No, I think it helps in everything. Do you find like if someone was to ask you, how is humor important to you? What would you tell them?
Oh, it's vital.
Yeah.
I would say it's essential, right?
Yeah.
And also because I feel the nature of the things that we do, we're like self-employed entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Which is, it's like I feel like I work, I don't know, 200 hours per week.
Yeah.
I mean, I never stop because
yeah.
my head is always, I'm always thinking, you know what I mean? So I need to have that.
Yeah. I love what you do and it just resonates and helps so many people. It really does. And you know what? Usually I do have, I mean, you are in the C-suite because you're the chief laugh officer, but, but a lot of times, I have very serious people on here and it's always amazes me how they do find humor in those situations to lead their people. And it really does. Do you have any strategies or techniques you could to inject humor into someone who is a leader? Give them some advice?
Yeah, I say start with yourself. Start with you. Start with self-deprecation. That's the best way to do it, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes, because of that, because of humor, you got to be careful how you say, what you say. You don't want to put anybody else down.
Yeah.
But if you start with you, that kind of like shows everybody that it's okay. It gives everybody else permission. So if I say, one thing that I always say, I'm almost sick of repeating this, but it always works.
Yeah.
I say, "Hi, my name is Stefano. I'm from Italy. I apologize. Nobody's perfect." Okay. It's some people might laugh about it. Some people that have Italian background, they feel, "Hey, what do you mean?"
Yeah.
But
What do
know
you
I
mean? I
Yes.
don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But in a way, it's like I'm making fun of myself. I'm making fun of my culture.
Yeah.
Not in a way that I'm putting myself down. I'm putting my culture down. It's just a little something. I can make fun of I don't know, my physical appearance. I can make fun of the white stuff here that I have on my beard. I don't know. I would say my suggestion, my advice is like start with making fun of yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't put yourself down, but look at things that you do.
That
what
are
are the
silly.
things do you? Yes, silly.
Yeah.
Or do you have some nervous things that you always do? Or is there something that you always do before you talk or before you do something?
Yeah.
Can you pay attention? Can you see that within yourself? So can you just make something about you first? Start there, and then people are like feel like that's funny, and also feel like then it's okay to make fun, right?
Yeah, and to be myself.
If that comes from a leader, then everybody will follow, right?
Yes, absolutely.
That needs to come.
Always starts at the top.
Yes, it has to start there, right?
Yeah.
If you want to make real changes, if you want to create a workplace and a work culture that's like joyful, you need to start from the top, right? Because you are the example here, right? It's like going back to like being a parent, right?
Yeah.
So it's like when if you like I know, like, I understand that, like, for my kids, somehow I'm the role model, right? You know what I mean? Because,
of
like,
course.
especially for the little one, right? Like, it's like, so they look at me the way I do things, and it's like, I do this because my father does this, right?
Right.
This is how I learn at first, right?
Yeah.
I copy what they do, what they say. This is very interesting to me, especially with like my Mila. She's 8. She has come to many of my shows.
Yeah.
Now she says the lines. Now she does the thing that I do. It's so interesting to me to watch it.
That's so
what I mean?
great.
She's like recreating her own. She does things, the strategies of things that I do in the show that she knows that work, because she's seen it and then she saw the response. People laugh about it. Or there was a reaction, right? So I'm the example there. So if you are a manager, if you are an executive CEO, allow yourself to be silly, to be, I don't know, joyful, because then your company, everybody else will follow.
Yes,
right?
that is great.
You're the role model here.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. Okay, so we always, I could talk to you forever, by the way. We could do it. Maybe I'll do a follow-up episode. But because sometimes I have people email me questions about humor. So we could do like, let's answer this. That might be fun.
I love that.
Yeah. So I always like to end the episode with, what's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you? Do you have a short story you can share?
Okay. Yes. Tied to my cancer. Okay.
Okay.
And because it's funny, and I think it was perfect timing. I started chemotherapy October 31st, Halloween.
Okay.
In your life, right? So I'm like, listen, you know what? I'm just going to go to the hospital, to the clinic, dressed up like an idiot. Okay. So I got my funny outfit. On the way there, I was concerned. I was like, maybe this is a bad idea. Maybe this is not appropriate. Maybe people might think this is totally out of touch. I walk into the clinic, I open the door, everybody's dressed up. Everybody's in costume. The doctor, the nurses, the patient, everyone. It's like this bizarre Halloween party. This is the best part. And then this figure approaches me. She's wearing this long, dark cape. She's a vampire, okay? Dressed as a vampire. She comes up, says, "Hi, my name is Atsuko. I'm your nurse. I need to draw your blood." Like, I went like this. Like, here. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like perfect timing, right?
Yeah.
Because to me, it's like, I don't know what to expect. This is probably one of the hardest things I'm going to be doing in my life. But that moment, you know what I mean? That was so great. We laugh. We all laugh, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is so silly. And I know that she did it. She wasn't trying to make me laugh. She
Yeah.
genuinely said that because that's what she does every day. She didn't even, it was like,
Forgot
muscle
you was
memory.
dressed as a
Yes.
vampire.
Exactly. She comes up, I need to draw your blood, because that's probably the first thing they do when you go in for chemo the first time. That's what they do, right?
Of course.
So she just went and said, and I was like, oh my God, this is so funny, right?
Yeah.
We laugh, and then she realized, oh yeah, you're right. Of course it's funny. I'm a vampire. I'm asking for your blood.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for coming on Humor in the C-Suite. I so
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.